Hey guys, so welcome to Coffee with Impetus. So I just wanted to start a new podcast, chatting with people within the industries, from trades to manufacturers to wholesalers, anybody that's trade related, just so that we could get a consensus of everything happening around us, and just a little bit about the trades in general, from electrical to plumbing to heating to real estate, I don't know, to millwork. So today we got Bold City Plumber with us. If you guys don't know him, name is Christian Ramos over here. Um, so, Christian, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, and who you are.
Absolutely, man. So I'm Christian Ramos. I'm originally from Westchester, New York, which is a little north of the Bronx and the boroughs. I started plumbing about 10 years ago in Bedford Hills, New York. I live now in Jacksonville, Florida, New York. I've been here for probably about 6, 7 years. I do service plumbing, pretty much is what I do. Residential and commercial service plumbing is what I do full time. And I really enjoy it. I've got a passion for plumbing, and that's pretty much what I've done for most of my life. That's where I started.
So you've done servicing your whole life. Have you done any like construction or any type of that work?
Right. So probably the first 8 to 12 months was new construction. We were working in pool facilities. We're building pool facilities, and we're building breweries as well. One of our first projects, the very first project I was ever on, was right on the Hudson in Peekskill, New York, right by the river, right by the train station. Was a brewery. I believe it's called Peekskill Brewery, if I'm not mistaken. You all can go ahead and Google that if you like. But that facility right there is one of the very first projects I worked on, and we were coring, we were running cast iron, we were sweating pipe. I mean, you name it. From the bottom, from scratch. It's pretty much what we started off.
That's pretty cool. Um, so for your story, I think you told me if you got into the trade because of something that happened with you with your life back in the day, and if it wasn't for the trade, you would have been doing something else. Like, how did that all happen, and how did you get into the trade?
That's a long story. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. At a very young age, my aunt passed away, which is my mother's sister and her best friend. She passed away, and at that point, my mom's life kind of spiraled a little out of control. And when her life spiraled out of control, and I was always like kind of like a mama's boy,
Yeah.
uh, I kind of got lost in between everything that was going on. I was kind of on my own after that, and my father tried to be there as best as he could for me, but they were in the middle of a really bad custody battle. So I kind of got lost, and I took to the streets, and I made some bad decisions. Um, Fast forward many years forward of making stupid decisions. I met my wife, then girlfriend. She had a little boy named Derek, and he was 3 years old, and he taught me kind of how to be a man. I realized that I had to do all I could to help her raise this child. His father wasn't in the picture, so I had to really step up and be there for him. And then my daughter was born. We moved to Florida, and that was that. So plumbing is really what changed my life. Plumbing, my family, my stepson, my wife, and then plumbing is what changed my life.
That's really awesome because, like, I've always told everybody inside the trade, everything happens for a reason, and there's always circumstances that happen between you and your life that somehow bring you to plumbing or somehow bring you to your passion. And it's always a great story to see how people end up where they are because of certain things that happen in their life. Anyway, by the way, I forgot to mention. So this thing was called Coffee of Impetus because we are going to be drinking coffee throughout this show. Bold City Christian himself, he doesn't really drink coffee, so he might be going on decaf or tea. In the future, this is going to be more like an office setup, but because of COVID-19 and everything happening around us, we're going to be doing it, Twitch style. A lot of these are recorded, so if people can't watch it, this will be coming back to them on IGTV, YouTube, and on Twitch. Anyway, to go on with our questions, another one that I had for you was, what are some things you like doing in the trade currently?
Man, honestly, I just like interacting with customers, man. That's why I moved from new construction to service, and it's not knocking new construction or anything like that. I got a tremendous amount of respect for those guys, but I got into service because I like running into something new every day. It's
Yeah.
like an adventure, you see new faces every day. You run into new things every day, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge each and every time, and that's what I like. That's what I in all aspects of life. The thing I love the most is challenges.
Oh, that's a good one. I would say mine's a bit different. I do like the challenges, but I like service plumbing because at the end of the day, I'm always able to help that customer and help them with their issue and kind of leave like a hero. You know what I mean? That's what really gets me hard. but
That's another thing I love the most. Also, I love being able, like you said, to walk away the hero. You go to a customer's home, and a lot of times they're in a really bad mood because of what's going on, and understandably so. They've gone to the point where now they have to spend money. They have to repair something they weren't expecting to repair because some of these things happen out of nowhere. And being able to put a smile on their face after everything is all said and done is definitely very important to me.
yeah, that is the biggest thing, and the most challenging at the same time because some customers are just jerks. And you have to deal with them and actually try to save the day at the same time. Sometimes it's just like, oh man, what do you do with these kind of guys? But anyway, on to the next question that, I've got a bunch of questions for you. Hopefully we can get through all
Sure,
of them.
absolutely. I've got plenty of time.
I do see that, if you guys don't know, Bold City Plumber obviously is on Instagram. I put it down the link here below if you guys see somewhere down here. Anyway, if you do follow him, you do notice that all his posts are black and white. So, question that I didn't put on earlier is why? So why do you have all your posts in black and white, and what's the significance of that?
So, wow. So I'm one of those people that start hobbies and sometimes doesn't really dedicate themselves to their hobby. So I like to start multiple hobbies, right? I'll start one hobby and I kind of go away from that one and start another hobby and kind of go away from that one and start another hobby. One of my hobbies was collecting film, which is like 35 millimeter film, and using old vintage film cameras or point and shoot cameras from like the 80s and 90s. And I just really fell in love with black and white film. And as you saw in my rigid experience video, there's a photo in there where my wife shot the photo of me at the river here in Jacksonville, Florida, and it was shot by 35 millimeter film by I think it was a 1998 camera, and I thought it was pretty cool. I have a passion for film, and black and white is just something I always stuck to. My father has a background in film writing and film directing, and he's got a big background in that.
The
and
secrets are coming out.
Yeah, he's always told me, Christian, because my family calls him Christian. He's always told me, Christian, you really gotta, if you're gonna do something, you gotta stand out and do something different. Kind of have your own niche. And the black and white thing just stood out to me right away, and I thought it would work out.
It stood out to me. I was just like, when this guy came, I knew this guy was special. To me, at least, right?
Thank you.
So that means on the off time, what you like doing would be just editing videos, adding music, that kind of thing, or is there something more to that?
So, man, let me tell you, man, my family, I have a tremendous amount of support from my wife, my kids, and everything. I spend a lot of time editing videos, probably more time than I should, to be honest with you.
I can say the same.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time editing videos. I try to get my 13-year-old involved, my 7-year-old daughter, I try to get her involved. My 4-year-old, he doesn't really know too much, but he loves the camera. He tries to jump in every chance he gets. As you saw in multiple of my videos, the OG 20K giveaway, Christian was in it, my 4-year-old. All three of my kids were in the Rigid Experience video.
Oh, yeah, that
I try to get them in. What's that?
That was cute. That was really cute.
Yeah, thank you. I try to get them all involved as much as possible and try to make it a family project. But to be honest with you, I do spend a lot of time editing videos. So that's what I do. That's what I do a lot on my off times: editing videos, spending time with family, and any chance I get to slap in a 35 millimeter roll of film inside of one of my old vintage cameras. Heck yeah, man! I love it.
That's sweet. That's really sweet. I love making those videos too. I mean, somehow it's just something that puts your mind at ease, and you're able to kind of see the outcome, and people appreciate it. They're able to see what you're making out of it. It's just awesome when you get so much support from the community at the same time.
Absolutely, it is amazing. The community, especially here, this obviously is probably gonna go on multiple platforms. But as most of you know, I'm mainly from Instagram, and the Instagram community is just amazing. Amazing how the reception I've gotten from when I very first started, August 26, 2019, to now. It's just been. I mean, it's humbling. I really don't know what to say. But
That's the
thank
same
you.
thing we're talking about today. The community is awesome. I mean, it was sad that Centrotherm couldn't make it today. So for those of you who don't know, or pretty much you should know, because I blasted the hell out of Instagram, is something happened between Centrotherm. I can't disclose it. I don't want to disclose it, but because of that, we couldn't get Michael onto the screen today. And I was so lucky because Christian just came up to me and said, "Hey, is there anything I could do?" And I was so happy because I'm scurrying to find manufacturers or some other guy, and I'm just like, "Oh man, who's gonna have the setup or no?" Just to be put on the spot. And then you were the perfect guy because you've been doing Boldcast for the past, what was it, 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah, it's been a little while now, right? I'm not exactly sure how long it's been, but I will say this. Terrence here, man, he's always been a really close friend to me. I met you personally at AHR for the first time. We kicked it off and we had an awesome time. And I think that's where I met those guys, the guys we were supposed to have on this evening
Yeah.
at AHR as well with you. And you introduced me to them. They're an amazing company, amazing people. And it's sad that they can't be on tonight, but I'm sure you'll be able to reschedule them and get them back on. And I'm excited to watch that.
Definitely would be, and and that's why we call turn the tables, right? Because that's exactly what happens. We turn it into something. That's what we do.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
Show must go on.
yeah, show must go on. So I'm thinking about, like, when I talk to you, I'm kind of looking. Sometimes I like to ask people what they think about their future, right? Not particularly your job, but kind of where do you kind of see yourself within the next 5 years of what you actually want to do and what you want to accomplish and what you want to achieve.
Well, talking to you at HR was very inspiring. Just give you all a little bit of a background on how it all went down. So I'm at HR. I'm really excited about meeting Impetus and meeting Terrence and Will and everything. And somehow we ended up inside of this bar, lounge, restaurant. I don't know what you want to call it, but we ended up in this lounge and we're hanging out at a table eating. It was actually at what was whose event was that? That was
Takeos, and then it went to Rigid.
Taco's Rigid, and there was one more.
Vega.
Vega, that was the Vega one. So you and I were at Vega. All of us were at Vega, and we started kicking it off.
Will was at Vega. He's right here in the comments.
Yeah. Exactly, and it was a great event, great after party, and we kind of hung out there. And you were probably expecting the party, hang out, and I was just digging into your brain. I was like, hey man, let me pick this guy's brain. And I didn't realize how young you were and how soon you started your business and all that. And that was very inspiring to me. So, I mean, after talking to you, talking to my family, obviously, and finally, 10 years later, I finally do want to open up my own business. And that's my goal for 2021 is to finally open up my own business, move forward. And it is a risk. It is a jump. But it's something that my family and I have sit down and we've spoken about. And sometimes you got to take risks. Sometimes you got to go out there and do what you got to do to try to push forward and take the next step.
That's great news. Like, I talk to everybody who come to me on Instagram all the time, and when they do come to me, I'm really happy that they always start their own business or really want to do something themselves, because I really think the biggest thing about starting your own business, which is also the best part, is literally the journey. Everything that I've been throughout my whole business career, throughout my whole life doing plumbing, I personally believe the journey was always the best. As I told you from the first thing that you were talking about, everything happens for a reason. And
Right.
all these things that happen to your head, the bold cast, everything else, they're happening for a reason, to get you to a bigger picture, to get you somewhere where you want to be.
I absolutely agree. I've had many family members in my life. Through all that time that I was telling you about me going down the wrong path, I had my father, Jose. He's actually on my Instagram, Jose Ramos. You'll catch him here and there, leaving some comments and stuff like that, and laughing at me sometimes. Especially, he's a big supporter of mine. My stepmom, Christina, my sisters, and then my grandparents. My grandfather passed away recently. Well, not so recently, but to me it feels recent. About a year ago, we just made his year anniversary, and he was like my hero. And he passed away recently. But those are all the people that really supported me coming up. And when I was walking down the wrong path, they always kept telling me, "Hey, Chris, you got to go the right path. You got to straighten your life around. You got to turn your life around." And at the end of the day, like you said, it's all meant for, it's all done for a reason. Things happen for a reason.
It does, and it's nice you have so much support because even when I started, it's kind of weird because sometimes it's a lonely path when you do start. You find out a lot of people who are actually your friends, and who are actually not your friends, who are actually family, and who are actually not really family. It's weird to say, but that shit does happen, especially when you do start your own business, and I think it happened the
Absolutely.
same as me. But those are things that you have to go through. Those are called endeavors, and you know, the stronger you come out from it, the better.
Yeah, that's true, man. You start to realize when, you, like you said, you'll realize who's really there for you and who's not, And I'm just grateful for the people that were there for me, and a lot of you probably saw the Paymaster of the Month stuff, and I mentioned there. One of the most memorable moments of my life is when all those people that I mentioned came back to me and told me, "Hey, Chris, I'm proud of you for changing your life around and turning your life around." That's for sure something I'll never forget.
That's a great feeling. So, the next question I have for you, and probably the last before we go into some viewer questions, is the picture. I have a picture from your post from IG. I don't know whatever
Sure.
date it was, but
Uh-oh.
I'm
I
gonna
got a
bring.
lot of I got like 350
I'm
posts
gonna be
I think
bringing
now.
this up. I'm gonna put it right in the center where everybody can see it, and
Sure.
I think I will show you here on the screen as well what I'm talking about because somehow I can't really share with you. But this is the picture I'm talking about. If you can even see how blurry it is. Anyway,
It looks like it looks like a water heater that was just about to swap out or something like
so
that.
over
Yeah.
here is a before and after saying this water heater was from 1999. Customer got home to a flooded garage and you replaced it with another water heater. Um, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this photo. I don't think anything's wrong other than the fact that it's one of the only photos which isn't black and white. So my question to you is why?
All right. Well, I wish I had a more interesting story for you, but to be honest with you, it might have been a mistake. sometimes, sometimes I post things and I post things up and not to take it down and confuse people, I'll just leave it there. And sometimes I post things up without putting a black and white filter on it. There's several times you can see that, if you scroll down, if you go all the way to the beginning, you can tell my very first logo was actually in teal and black rather than black and white. Because my first idea before I got into the black, before I decided to do black and white was to do everything teal and black, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I started messing around with the photos and stuff, and the teal filter didn't really look as cool or didn't really look right, and I thought it'd probably get annoying after a while, and that's why that's another reason why I kept the black and white rather than the teal and black.
That's interesting because at the beginning you're already black and white, and then from that picture actually, I think it was before or after you were messing around with the teal and black because
Right.
there was two pictures where you had your own portrait and drawing where it was actually a little bit of teal with the black. And
That's correct.
I
Yeah.
guess at that point you're like, oh, this teal doesn't really work out for me.
No, no. So for those of you that don't know, I am a Jaguars fan. Some of you are gonna kick me in the butt after this because the Jaguars aren't that great right now. But yeah, the one of the main colors that that's very recognizable here in Jacksonville, Florida, is teal. Teal is like one of the main colors out here, and I wanted to do that in tribute of the city. But it just that filter wasn't gonna work out for what I was doing. It'd get annoying after a while looking at teal videos all the time.
Well, it's good to know that right now when you're doing your Boldcast, at least everything's in color, right?
Yes, that is true. Everything is in color, and for those who don't know, I'm going to be starting up a YouTube channel it's going to be called Broadcast TV, and I'm not trying to promote or anything on your
No,
channel.
wait, I'd love you to
but
promote. Like, right after this, I was just going to give you the whole promotion saying about Boldcast and everything. Like, I would love to talk about it.
I truly appreciate that, but just a quick glimpse into it. I'm going to be starting a channel so that everybody can go back and create a playlist, so everybody can go back and watch the old episodes, and it's all going to stay in color. So my YouTube channel will be in color. Instagram will be in black and white.
So you're just going to leave Instagram as black and white?
I'm gonna try. Sometimes I can't because of the giveaways and that sort of thing, and it ends up in color, and then my page looks all scrambled between color and black and white and mixed up. But I try for the most part to stay black and white.
The giveaways do have to be in color because it has to be enticing. If there's too much black and white, I don't know what I'm getting in my hands.
Exactly.
Especially the starters. Like
the.
did Pipe Vice actually do that for you, or was it Palmetto that did it for Pipe Vice that sent it to you?
That was Pipe Vice. That was
really?
actually Pipe Vice. It was the very first time I had spoken to him about it. I spoken to him, Brendan, about it. And at first he was a little bit on the fence about it because it's not something they normally do. It's a big brand. Pipe Vice it's known nationally as a pretty big brand, and although they're family owned and father and son, a lot of people use the product, and most of the people know it as the red Pipe Vice. At first it started as yellow, and then it went to red, and their signature color is red, and trying to keep it that way. But I spoke to them, and they were willing to work with me, and they said it'd be a one-time deal, and that's it. So it was black base coat with a metallic flake added to the powder coating. So that was a pretty cool thing.
That's pretty cool. I want to try powder coating one day, but I think I'll stick to what I know, gold for now. Maybe we'll get there someday. Who knows?
People are getting into that hydro dipping now, man. People are really getting into hydro dipping. It seems to be the new thing now. Hydro dipping and wrapping. You're obviously getting into wrapping now. And I don't mean wrapping like with a mic. I mean wrapping like wrapping items with a vinyl coating over it. And I thought it was pretty cool what you're doing right now with your tankless unit. I thought it was pretty nice.
Oh, I love it. I don't know where I got the idea, but I do know it's not the first one. So if you guys really want to know who the first one was, it was actually, from what I know, it's BR HVAC. So you guys should check him out if you guys ever get a chance. And that's Orist over there. Guy's pretty young, and he pretty much talks about all the boiler rooms being the best they can be. He talks about tags. He talks about gas tags and water tags. He has all of that stuff. He's part of the thing going to the next level, in the plumbing world.
Gotcha. Sorry about that. My little boy walked in on me.
That's okay. I'm lucky I don't have my little dog walking past here. It would be kind of funny.
He walked in because they weren't expecting this. Everybody knows Sundays is the day, and everybody kind of helps chips in and all that. So they're wondering why I'm in the office right now. But he's there hanging out. It's pretty cool having kids and the wife and kids that are really interested in everything that I do. It's awesome.
So those were all the questions I had for you, but I think on the chat here there are a little bit of questions that some other people want to ask you.
Absolutely.
I'm going to try to find a way one day where I can actually post a question so that you can see it as well. But in the meantime, you'd have to be on Twitch. And some people, San Jose Plumber asked you the question, and his first question was, let me find the best one. What was your worst experience with a customer? I like that one.
Worst experience with a customer. When you do service plumbing, you run into situations all the time. It's kind of hard to pinpoint one situation or one experience. I think to me, what bothered me the most is having somebody kind of hovering over your shoulder.
Yeah.
And kind of like trying to dictate what you do with your job, and they hired you for a reason. You hired me because obviously you're having trouble trying to figure out what the situation is and how to determine how to fix it. That's what I'm here for with my experience and all that I've done for so long, for 10 years. So when you have a customer hovering over your shoulder and kind of telling you, hey, why don't you do it this way rather than that way? That to me is probably the toughest. That's the toughest moment, out of service for me.
It definitely is. Here's a personal question, because I'm kind of on that same level. Since we're both on the same height, do you ever go to jobs thinking that you're like a smaller person and that you really have to prove it?
Man, to be honest with you, every time I go to a job, I don't really know how to put that. I'm always feeling like I gotta prove something. I'm always feeling like I gotta show the customer and prove them that they hired the right person. I always feel like they're the ones that putting out the money to hire us, and they're probably obviously going under some stress right now because of what they're going through and their situation. Maybe it's a big leak or something like that. So I always feel like I got to prove to them that I know what I'm doing. So if that answers your question, then great. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. I don't. I think that's the only way I can answer something like that.
No, that's cool. I don't know where I was really going with that question, but I'm just curious, right? Because sometimes, like, when we talk about size and everything, some customers actually think, oh, I'm a bigger guy, so, like...
you're talking about size, physical size.
Physical
size.
So
most people know that I am tiny, right? So I'm like 5'4". I'm like 130 pounds soaking wet, right? And so most people saw me at AHR and they were like, holy crap. I mean, Omar, he's a great guy and one of my good friends. He was like, Chris, you're really small, man. And I was like, yeah, I'm a small guy. Yeah, I have customers all the time. Whenever I do water heaters and stuff like that, they're like, man, how do you move that thing around, with, being your size? But it's all really, and how your hand truck, your dolly and all of that, and make sure you protect your back. You use your legs rather than using your back. So it's all technique, I think, in my opinion.
Flintstone's like, I was shocked for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
both
See,
of us.
absolutely, yeah. So I always told people before AHR, right? I warned people actually. I had like a joke. I told everybody. I said, look, I'm really small, like just to let you know. And when I got there, people were really like in shock. They were like, "Holy crap, he is a small guy." Because you see some of these videos I post up. I did a hybrid. It was an 80-gallon hybrid, and I shoved inside of one of my vans, and you couldn't really tell my size. But then I posted another video where I put it like in wide frame, so you could really see how tall I am, and I look tiny. I look tiny compared to the water heater. So people get a kick out of that, which I think is pretty funny.
It is funny. I remember that video when you were taking up that 50-gallon yourself and you're just looking
Yeah,
like you're
there
lugging
you
the
go.
crap out of it. I was just like, wow. I was like, I thought
Oh,
I
that
was
a
small,
struggle, man.
but then when I watched you, like nothing against you, but I was like, damn, I'm happy that there's somebody my size.
Yeah, that was a struggle, man. I'm not gonna lie. I posted that up joking around, but that job was not fun at all. I was supposed to get some help on that job, and things happen in service, where people get caught up, and it's hard to get an extra hand. So either I was gonna wait there for 2 or 3 hours to get help, or I was gonna get the job done and get to my family. And I
That's true.
decided that, you know what, I'm gonna protect my back the best way I could, and just get the job done. Was I feeling it 2 or 3 days later? Hell yeah, I was.
I was gonna make a stream on that about like how us plumbers sometimes we don't want to do a lot of shit, but then when we like, it's kind of like drain cleaning. When you first drain clean, you're like, oh man, I don't want to touch this shit. And then as soon as that splash of crap goes on you, you're just like, fuck it, I'm in.
Screw it. Yeah, you're
Screw
like, you know
everything.
what?
I'm just going all knee deep into this crap right now.
For sure, man. Recently, to give you a little quick story, I'm not sure how much time you have, but I was doing a sub pump, and it was in the backyard. I had to dig the lid up, and I talked about this in my last podcast, and I accidentally dropped the lid. It's a cement lid, and the whole area is saturated and sewage, saturated. I mean, bad. I mean, the drain field is probably in bad condition. It was bad. So I dropped it, and it was head to toe, and at that point, at first you're like kind of tippy toeing around. You're like, oh, I don't want to get this stuff on me. But at that point, I was like, you know what, screw this. I got to get back to my family. It was like 8 o'clock at night.
Oh man, talk about a late night.
Yeah, it sure was.
All right, I think we got time for one more question. We're just trying to keep all these streams and the Coffee with Impetus kind of short in like 20 to 30-minute videos. So if you guys are looking for something longer, check back to all the clips later because it's going to be IGTV, it's going to be on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. Last question comes from one of my guys, Daryl. Hold up, I gotta scroll back up to this. What is your advice for younger generations going into the trade? Is his question.
Man, that's a great question. For those of you that don't know me, or those of you that do know me, I mean, most of you know that I am big on trying to help the youth and trying to help the people that are coming up in the trades. It's important to me because of the fact, as I spoke earlier, my family, my wife and kids and all that, and as well as the trade helped me turn my life around. This was, it was either going to be making some really bad decisions and going down, and my life pretty much, like, making it short, my life would have been totally different if it wasn't for this trade. So my advice to somebody starting off in trades is simple. Take your time, listen, soak in all the knowledge like a sponge, and be patient. I was very impatient when I first started off. I wanted to run away with things. And I did, and I learned later down the years that there were things that I didn't know, and I made some mistakes that could have cost me my job. So take your time, be patient, soak in all the knowledge, and join Instagram. Join Instagram and contact everybody on Instagram because there's so much knowledge on Instagram. You just mentioned Flynn, Will, your whole crew. There's so many people out there that I could spend a whole hour putting names out, but there's so many people you can contact on Instagram that can give you a wealth of knowledge And don't miss out on that. Join Instagram.
I could say the same. Yeah, and back to where you're talking about patience. Patience is one of the biggest keys. A lot of people, especially like when you do drains or you do any heating systems, all of that is always about patience. Everybody wants to finish it quick. They want to get the hell out of there. But patience is the real thing to really get through what you have to do. And not only when we're talking about patience, we also talk about self-awareness. You really have to know where you are, and how you work with everybody else, because it's always a team environment. So I think part of that is really a good advice for people going in as a younger generation to really know their worth and really know what they know, and don't act out of line sometimes, because going back into it, there are seniors, and they're called your seniors for a reason, right? So you can always learn from somebody. Don't come in thinking that you know the most.
Yeah, and to touch a little bit more on that, we try to become versatile. You know what I mean? That's what's really gonna really bring up your worth. Being versatile. Learn as much as you can. Reach out to if you don't know something and you know that somebody specializes in that particular thing. Reach out to them and try to learn that thing, because the more versatile you are, the more options you have in this life, and that's important.
It's a true story. Well, that's all the time we got today. We can keep going with our stream later. I don't really care, but for this section of it, thank you guys for coming to Coffee with Impetus. Again, if you guys didn't know, this is Christian Ramos or Ramos. How do you say that last name?
Ramos.
Ramos. I have a friend called Milky Ramos, and that's why I say Ramos, but you say it differently. So Christian Ramos, if you didn't know, his link is down below. It's at Bold_City Plumber. And every Sunday he has something called the Boldcast. So hopefully you guys are looking at that at the same time. Lots of information, wealth of information from Rigid to all the other people from Instagram. I tune in all the time. So hopefully if you guys have time, check Bold City out. And Christian, any last parting words you want to say or talk about your stream or your lives?
Sure. If you give me the opportunity, absolutely. So the Boltcast Live, like you said, it's really to inform people on so many different parts of the trades. I bring in people from different aspects of the trades. Like you said, I had Flynn on there one night, and I'll have him on again. Flynn's a really good friend of mine, and he is a wealth of knowledge, as well as George, and like the list goes on. I've got so many people, OG Plum guys, so many people that have been on there, and big companies. Rigid has been on there. But more importantly, what I'm doing here is just trying to provide some knowledge. I think you're doing the same thing. It's just trying to spread the knowledge throughout the community and trying to help people and give back to the community. So, thank you for having me on, man. I truly appreciate you having me on here. This was last minute. I wasn't expecting it, but I wanted to try to help out and make it work for you.
Yeah, thanks for being here as well. I mean, it was last minute, and I think it worked out great. I still really appreciate all you guys who have come to watch this, especially on Twitch, which is a different platform. I understand it's different from Instagram. We definitely don't have the same viewership here, but at the same time, we are going to be resharing all this, as I keep saying. But thank you very much for actually coming in. If you want and if you can, please follow us. Make sure you follow on Twitch up top. That will help us a lot to become affiliates and actually give the viewers more chances to actually send messages and talk in the chat. There's another question about when the next stream is. I'm trying to get these streams on every Monday or Tuesday as I can. So the next people up will probably be another manufacturer sales rep. So tune in next week when that comes in. And other than that, thanks for coming, Chris. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you guys next week on Coffee with Impetus.
Thank you.